Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte has apologized for his country's role in slavery, calling it a crime against humanity. The Netherlands once had an extensive colonial empire, including at different times areas in Southeast Asia, Africa and the Americas. The Dutch government is now planning to step up education and awareness efforts aimed at tackling racism in the Netherlands, where reminders of slavery are still very easy to find.
Today, I apologize. Ave mi tapidi disculpa. Tide, mi vani, taki, pardon.
Today, on behalf of the Dutch government, I apologize for the actions of the Dutch state in the past. Posthumously, to all formerly enslaved people worldwide who suffered from those actions, to their daughters and sons, and to all their descendants up to the present.
Tot in het hier en nu.
Along with the apology, Rutte promised a memorial year and a fund of 200 million euros that will pay for education and awareness projects aimed at reducing racist thinking. A fund that is very necessary, says Linda Nooitmeer.
Everything that we see around us that involves racism, institutionalized racism, comes from the slave history. So in order to know what to repair, you have to study, you have to make an inventarization, because the reparations also involve those countries where the system of slavery was brought to.
We're joined now by Dutch parliamentarian Sylvana Simons, who's in The Hague. Sylvana, thanks so much for joining us on a significant day. Why did it take so long for the Netherlands to offer this apology?
I would say that up until today, or maybe up until last year, the Dutch have suffered from guilt and denial. And this is understandable when you look at the atrocities that took place during this period of time. I understand there would be shame and there would be denial. However, I'm overjoyed with the fact that finally today we've come to a first step into a long process, I hope, of not only acknowledgement of what happened during this period of time, but also finding each other in finding ways to move forward.
When it comes to compensating for the colonial past, how do you know when you've done enough?
Well, my personal stance is that there is never enough money, time or effort that can undo the absolute crimes that were committed against humans and humanity. So when we accept that fact, we know there's not enough money in the world. However, there is so much work to do when it comes to cultural, economical, educational work that needs to be done. Those things obviously also cost money. So it's not just about the money. The money is merely a means to try and do the right things, to take away all of the everything that we still feel is connected to that period of time, and that still addresses the descendants of slavery today.
Right, so as a starting point, we have this apology. Now that it's been made, it took some time, but now that it's been made, how do you think the Dutch people feel about it?
Well, I think there's enormous strength in the fact that our Prime Minister spoke the words that he spoke. In his speech today, he made it absolutely clear that what happened was a crime against humanity. This is so important. He also specified what some of the atrocities are. Women who were raped, women, men and children murdered, abducted and treated horribly. It is of such importance that a head of state, in this case our Prime Minister, utters these words and therefore explains to the Dutch people why these apologies are so important.
The follow-up question to an apology is so often, do they really mean it? What other concrete steps could the Netherlands take to prove this apology is actually heartfelt?
Well, the thing is, I think you're talking to one of the biggest criticasters of Mark Rutte. So I'm always prepared not to believe him. I'm always prepared to be very skeptical of his words. However, I watched his speech today, and I can only say that his speechwriters did a hell of a job, and I couldn't help but believe Mark Rutte when he spoke those words. Now, he also mentioned, and this is also very important, that today is only the first day of our joint future. And this means that we really have to have a good talk about what does it mean? What do apologies look like? How can I feel them, touch them, and know them? And I think, just as I've said before, that we really have to look at taking away the, how do I say this? Taking away the effects that are still happening today. And this is about education, culture, economics, and also, obviously, the relationship of the different countries that are still part of the Dutch kingdom, as well as Suriname, who obviously since 1975 has been an independent republic, but nevertheless still suffers the consequences of this colonial period.
A really significant day in The Hague. Dutch parliamentarian Sylvana Simons, thanks so much.
There's a lot to unwrap here, and for that, we're joined by Rhoda Arundel. She's the president of One SXM, an association from St. Martin, an island in the Caribbean that was colonized by the French and the Dutch. Her association aims to promote greater unity among the people of St. Martin. Welcome to DW. Your association has started a petition to ask the government of St. Martin not to accept the Dutch Prime Minister's apology. Can you explain why?
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to bring to you a voice from this side of the world on the issue. Primarily because we didn't expect the way it was pushed that the apology would be a sincere apology or a legal and valid apology, as we have been asking for years now. And after hearing it today, we are convinced that it does not measure up to the standards of what an official legal apology should look like.
What should the Netherlands do to prove that this is a sincere apology, a legal apology, as you say, and that they really do want to make amends?
Well, one of the things, if you study the CARICOM 10-point agenda that we've been suggesting to our governments in the region with regards to how we begin with apology, if you even look at that, one of the things that we recognize is that reparations ought to be part of the conversation, right? If we're speaking about reparatory justice. The mere fact that the Netherlands government has already said that we will have a discussion about an apology, but we're not going to be discussing reparation, that's already a false start. That means they're not sincere, they're not looking to repair, to restore, or to compensate. And the discussion that there's going to be 200 million euros set aside for awareness says to us it's almost an insult.
So where do we go from here? What should the next steps look like to include you and your community in the process and achieve something like reconciliation, if there can be such a thing?
That's a good question. Well, for us, it's not up to the Netherlands to decide. As far as we are concerned, as far as One SXM is concerned, this is a process that has been ongoing in the Caribbean. In 2013, the CARICOM heads of government set up their reparations commission. St. Martin does not yet have an official reparations commission, but One SXM has filed to become an official member of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. That's for us is a first step. We are busy doing our own research. We have implored our government to set up a reparations commission officially, and we've asked our parliament to engage in discussions with the people in St. Martin. That's where we start. As far as we are concerned in One SXM, we don't care what the Netherlands does. The Netherlands is going to do what the Netherlands often does, present an agenda in the interest of the Netherlands, regardless to how it affects other people. This is why we're having this conversation today about reparations and slavery and apology. Had the Netherlands not operated from a place of greed in the interest of the Netherlands, we would not be here having this conversation today. So we're saying, let the Netherlands do what the Netherlands does all the time. We in St. Martin, in the Caribbean, are busy with our own study, with our own research. We do not wish to be rushed into it as it was done with the Netherlands. There was no discussion with St. Martin when the report was written. the report on which the Netherlands is basing this apology. The Netherlands has not yet said to us why the magical date of December 19th, which was just revealed within a few months, that now this official apology. So that nowhere in the process will we engage in the conversation of what the apology should look like, or when it does come, how we are going to be involved in getting to reconciliation, as you mentioned. It's a one-sided colonial approach, and we reject it.
Rhoda Arundel, president of One SXM from St. Martin, thank you so much for your time.